The credit report trembled in my hands as I scanned the same lines for the 5th time, hoping the numbers would somehow change. 7 credit cards, 3 personal loans, a car lease, all opened in the last 18 months. All in my name, none of them mine. $30,000 in debt. Maxed out. Payments months overdue. I'd only checked my credit because I was finally ready to move out of my studio apartment to get somewhere with actual sunlight and maybe a real kitchen. The landlord had laughed when he ran my application. Actually laughed. Credit score of 380, he'd said. What are you, 12? I was 24. I'd been building my credit carefully since 18, never missing a payment on my single credit card, the one I used for groceries and paid off religiously. My score should have been pristine. Now I stood in my parents' kitchen, printouts spread across the table like evidence at a crime scene, watching my mother sip her coffee like we were discussing the weather. Oh, those, Mom said casually, glancing at the papers. Yes, we had to help Brooke out. She was in a tight spot. A tight spot? My voice cracked. She stole my identity. That's a federal crime. Stole is such an ugly word, Dad chimed in from behind his newspaper. We co-signed a few things. You can't co-sign in someone else's name. That's not what co-signing means. Mom set down her mug with that particular clink that meant I was being difficult. She walked to her desk, her perfectly organized desk where she managed their finances with military precision, and pulled out a folder. My name was written on the tab in her neat handwriting. She opened it, revealing copies of every fraudulent application, every forged signature, every fake document, organized chronologically, like she was proud of the thoroughness of their crime. She needs good credit more than you, Mom explained, as if teaching me basic math. Brooke's divorce ruined her financially. She couldn't even get an apartment. You're younger, you'll recover. Recover from what? From identity theft? From fraud? From a low credit score, Dad said, finally looking up. You're being dramatic. It's just numbers on paper. Numbers that affect my entire life. I can't rent an apartment. I can't get a car loan. I probably can't even get a job if they run a credit check. Brooke needed those things now, Mom said. She has children to think about. Brooke's children. The golden grandchildren who made every crime acceptable. Never mind that Brooke's divorce was her fault, caught cheating with her boss. Never mind that she'd blown through her settlement on vacation and designer bags. Never mind that I'd been saving for years to build my own life. Show me everything, I said quietly. Mom hesitated. Jasmine. Show. Me. Everything. She pulled out more papers. The car lease, a BMW, because apparently crime should be comfortable. The credit cards, all with cash advance after cash advance. The loans, supposedly for debt consolidation, but the money had vanished into Brooke's shopping addiction. And there, at the bottom of each application, my father's notary seal. You notarized these, I said, staring at him. You're a notary public. You knowingly notarized fraudulent documents. He shifted uncomfortably. Family helps family. This isn't help. This is theft. Your sister was desperate, Mom said, her voice taking on that guilt-tripped tone I knew too well. Would you rather see her on the street? Would you rather your nephew's homeless? I'd rather not be $30,000 in debt for things I didn't buy. You're so selfish, Mom sighed. We raised you better than this. Something snapped inside me. The years of being the responsible one while Brooke partied. The scholarships I'd earned while she dropped out. The promotions I'd worked for while she married rich and then destroyed it all. None of it mattered. I was selfish for not wanting my future destroyed for her mistakes. I pulled out my phone and started taking photos. Every document. Every forged signature. Every fraudulent application. What are you doing? Dad demanded. Documenting. For my records. Jasmine, put the phone down. We're having a family discussion. No, I said, continuing to photograph. We're discussing a crime. Multiple crimes, actually. Mom's face went red. How dare you? How dare I? How dare I? I laughed, but it was hollow. You stole my identity. You ruined my credit. You committed fraud using my social security number. And you kept records like you're proud of it. We did what we had to do for Brooke. No, you did what was easy. What was convenient. What let Brooke avoid consequences again. She's your sister. And I'm your daughter. When do I matter? When does my future count? You're young, Dad started. I'm 24. I've been working since 16. I've done everything right, and you destroyed it all in 18 months. I finished photographing and backed everything up to 3 different cloud services. My hands were steady now, my mind clear. I knew what I had to do. I need you to transfer all the accounts to Brooke's name, I said. Mom laughed. We can't do that. Her credit is ruined. Then transfer them to yours. Absolutely not. Our credit is important. But mine isn't? Silence. The answer hung in the air like smoke. No, mine wasn't important. It never had been. I'm filing a police report, I said quietly. The explosion was immediate. Mom screaming about family loyalty. Dad threatening to disown me. Both of them cycling through guilt, anger, manipulation. Every tool in their arsenal. You'd send your own parents to jail? Mom sobbed. You sent my future to hell, I replied. So yes. I walked out with their crimes documented in my phone and their threats ringing in my ears. The next stop was the police station. The detective who took my report was thorough and disgusted in equal measure. Your father's a notary? He asked, reviewing the photos. Yes. He knows this is a felony. Each notarization is a separate count. I'm aware. And you want to press charges? Yes. He nodded slowly. Family identity theft is more common than you'd think. Parents with good kids, bad credit, and flexible morals. You're brave for reporting it. Brave. I didn't feel brave. I felt sick. The next call was to a lawyer. Then the credit bureaus. Then the fraud departments of every bank. The dominoes started falling fast. Brooke called within hours, hysterical. How could you do this to me? They're repossessing the car. They're canceling the cards. My apartment wants immediate payment. Pay them, I suggested. With your own money. I don't have any money. You know that. Then maybe you shouldn't have bought a BMW. Mom said you'd understand. She said you'd help. Mom was wrong. I have children, and I have rights. Your children aren't my financial responsibility. You're destroying my life. No, I'm reclaiming mine. She hung up, but the calls kept coming. Extended family. Friends of my parents. All with the same message. Family doesn't do this to family. But family doesn't steal from family either, and they'd all been silent about that. The investigation moved quickly. With Dad's notary seal on everything and my documentation, it was open and shut. They were arrested at home. In front of the neighbors they'd spent years impressing with Brooke's BMW and fabricated success story. The local news picked it up. Parents arrested for identity theft of daughter. The comments sections were brutal. Their mugshots became memes about terrible parents. Their reputations, so carefully cultivated, crumbled overnight. I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. But then something interesting happened. My coworker, Denise, pulled me aside at lunch. I saw the news, she said quietly. The same thing happened to me. My brother. I never reported it. Why not? Family pressure. Guilt. Fear. She smiled sadly. I'm 35 and still rebuilding my credit. You did the right thing. More people reached out. Friends who'd had their identities stolen by relatives. Strangers who'd seen the news and wanted to share their stories. A whole underground network of people who'd been told their futures mattered less than family comfort. The lawyer worked miracles. The fraudulent accounts were removed from my credit report. The debts transferred to the people who'd actually created them. My credit score began its slow climb back. Mom and Dad got probation and hefty fines. Dad lost his notary license and his job. Mom's reputation in her social circles evaporated. They had to sell their house to pay legal fees and the debts they'd accumulated in my name. Brooke lost everything. The car, the apartment, the illusion of success built on my stolen identity. She moved in with our parents, now in a tiny apartment on the wrong side of town. They sent one last letter through their lawyer. An apology that wasn't, full of justifications and blame, ending with a request that I drop the charges for the sake of family unity. I sent back a copy of my new lease. A sunny one-bedroom in a building that had actually approved my application. Signed with my name, my credit, my future intact. No other message was needed. Sometimes I wonder if I could have handled it differently. Then I remember sitting in that kitchen, looking at $30,000 in debt I didn't create, listening to them explain why my sister's comfort mattered more than my future. They made their choice. They chose Brooke, chose easy solutions, chose crime over conversation. They chose to sacrifice their younger daughter to save their older one from consequences. I just chose myself. And for the first time in my life, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The credit score recovered faster than the family relationships. But then again, the credit score was real. The family relationships I learned that day in the kitchen had always been conditional, worth less than the paper they'd forged my name on. Now I sign my own name, on my own terms, for my own future. And no one, not even family, will ever steal that from me again.